CNN legal analyst Shan Wu joins our panel. He's a former federal prosecutor. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I get the point there. Rudy Giuliani is trying to say, if James Comey says, I was fired because I wouldn't go easy on Mike Flynn, and the president says, that's not why I fired James Comey, how does Robert Mueller, how do you solve it? Who's telling the truth?
Right. Well, the jeopardy really only arises if you're under oath. So if Trump does go in to be interviewed, then he's creating some jeopardy for himself. I think the problem, well, it's not really a problem. Rudy has been working at this model for a while. He wants to set up the situation where if there's anybody who could contradict the president, then he has ammunition to say this is a perjury trap. I'm not walking him into that. And that's what he's been working on for a while. And I think he's been a little bit successful at that, especially now that he claims that the president never said anything about the Comey. So, yeah.
But he's on television talking to the president.
Right.
Right? He's not
Yes,
talking to us.
exactly.
He's talking to the president. He's trying to convince the president not to do this. Another thing he said yesterday that was interesting, and if you look up collusion in the dictionary, you get one definition. Remember, in the legal context, you need the conspiracy, the nefarious, the plotting. That's what Mueller has to figure out. But here's Rudy Giuliani, the latest explanation, June 2016, Trump Tower meeting led by Donald Trump Jr., several other campaign officials involved. They think there are a bunch of Russians coming in with dirt on Hillary Clinton. Rudy says,
the meeting was originally for the purpose of getting information about Clinton. The meeting turned into a meeting.
Which in itself, it's attempted collusion. I understand.
No, it's
you
not.
just said it. The meeting was intended to get dirt on Hillary Clinton from a Kremlin lawyer.
No.
That was the intention of the meeting. You just said it.
That was the original intention of the meeting. It turned out to be a meeting about another subject, and it was not pursued at all. And of course, any meeting with regard to getting information on your opponent is something any candidate's staff would take.
okay, I'm going to stick with the lawyer for a second here. Did he not just say right there that it was attempted collusion? Now, the question is the conspiracy part of it. Right. But Donald Trump Jr., other top campaign officials, meeting with known Russians, can't take any contribution in a campaign, financial or any other goods, material goods, from a foreign national, period. Never mind a foreign national from Russia, who most people would think of as not having the United States interest at mind. Isn't that what he just said there? That this, if that is the truth, that this was attempted collusion? The Russians didn't bring the dirt, maybe, but they went into it expecting it?
No, absolutely. It doesn't have to bear fruit for the attempt or the conspiracy aspect of it. And I think
Well, if you were Bob Mueller, what would you do with that?
Well, I wouldn't want Rudy to be testifying, but I would be asking questions about that, and that would pique my interest. I think their interest has already piqued on that front.
So the non-lawyers at the table, help me. No, we've talked about this before, that a lot of what he's doing is political. It's not legal. He's trying to convince the Trump base, and he's trying to convince all Americans, frankly, don't believe anything you hear from the media, from Bob Mueller, from the Justice Department, from any institution that might file some charges against anybody in Trump land, or might question the conduct of the president. What purpose is he serving there? He's not helping his client.
No, and the thing that makes me bang my head against the wall every time anyone related to this case and to this campaign has said it is that, well, any campaign would go and get dirt on their opponent. And yes, that is true. Any campaign would seek out dirt on their opponent, but not from a foreign government and not from someone from the government of Russia. That is not how that works. And when you talk to other campaign aides who've worked on any other campaign, it really makes them want to set their hair on fire, because they're like, in any campaign, there are always people coming from outside governments trying to be helpful. And you either rebuff those, or you send them to the FBI, or you certainly send them to the counsel for your campaign. It's the Trump people who thought, wow, what a good idea, we should take the meeting.
And to that point, here's Rudy Giuliani again yesterday on that meeting trying to say, well, they didn't know.
She didn't represent the Russian government. She's a private citizen. I don't even know if they knew she was Russian at the time. All they had was her name.
They knew she was Russian. I think they knew she was Russian, but
well, they knew it when they met with her, not when they set up the meeting.
That's not true. Right. Donald Trump Jr. himself released some emails when he got caught in a lie about this, released some emails making clear he knew she was Russian. They have this thing called the internet. You can look up her name if you do any due diligence. Plus, we know from testimony during the congressional investigations that they knew they were Russians, and they knew those Russians were promising dirt on Hillary Clinton. How can he say that?
And then there's the matter of what the president did or didn't dictate as a response, which is also...
But is the president's lead attorney just uninformed, or is he deliberately lying on television?
Does it matter? I mean, I don't know. Like the story,
That's a sad question. I get you. It's the right question. It's the right question, but that's a sad question.
the story has changed so many times and is now all of this entirely, well, like 75% for public consumption, 25% for POTUS consumption, and the kind of derivative of it is that Mueller and his team can watch all of it, and if they want to, if they find it's useful, fold it back into what they're actually doing. But none of this helps on the legal side.
You think in the end the president's going to wish he had different lawyers?
He'll never admit that. But I think that's...
And ask if he'd admit it.
Yeah. he may think that. I think the strategy's been pretty disorganized. And, I think the interesting thing, to go to Sarah's point, Giuliani would never have taken that meeting.
Right.
Never.
No, he's
He would know better.
Right.
what one would hope.